I want to go to some of these super chats here. First one says, no one should undermine draws in the invincible season. If had draws instead of losses this season, this season title would be over. Points are points, aren't they? This here says we've won 27 games in a season for the first time in our history. That's phenomenal. 18 clean sheets, and I'm still hearing moaning. For fuck's sake, win is a win, especially at Old Trafford. Are Arsenal fans losing sight? I want to throw that to the panel. I'm going to throw this. Actually, I'm going to throw this to neutral. I'm going to throw this to I think he called you Hamza, Sam. Do you think Arsenal fans are losing sight at how good they've actually been this year? Record-breaking goal-scoring season, record amount of wins in a Premier League season, but yet it seems to not be enough for them.
Yes, I think they are. And as soon as I heard Saad speak, I thought that directly. Because look, Old Trafford is a stadium that Arsenal usually don't do well in, and that's just the reality. So I think they're just watching this team expecting to slap up teams. I think the games that like the Sheffield game and others where like Arsenal were slapping up teams like by 5 or 6 goals, it just made them like lose sight of reality a little bit. At the end of the day, I agree with what Dennis said. You have to learn from other teams' mistakes. And you look at what happened to my club at Old Trafford, you know, even though Terry decided to claim that that's why we lost the league. That's not where we lost the league. You get me? We lost it to Palace at home. Have some shame and decorum. However, I think you have to learn from other teams' mistakes. And by the way, this is just who Arsenal are as well. Like, can we not just sit up here and waffle? Arsenal play conservative football. Arsenal are not the open, expansive, let's destroy you with Gegen pressing and stuff. Like, they play conservative football, and that's who Arsenal are. And you can see the mentality and the mindset of the players shifted as soon as they went 1-0 up. So I think, listen, maybe it's just the heat of the moment. Maybe it's what you had expected pre-game. You expected to go to Old Trafford and slap Man United, which is fair enough based on the way that they've been playing. But sometimes you just have to take history into account, because history is there for a reason. It matters. And the reason why Arsenal fans still have hope is because of City's history at Spurs. So we cannot change the energy for Arsenal at Old Trafford. It's the same stuff. You know, usually they don't get wins. And I think they've just lost sight of who they are. They just went to Old Trafford, got a clean sheet. Again, Saliba and Gabriel deserve massive credit for that. So, you know, I think Arsenal fans need to be really happy with this.
Yeah, I do. I want to throw this to the panel as well before we do some more super chat. I understand that it gets said a lot, like the only true barometer for success is a trophy. And I do understand that. But sometimes you just can't win. For instance, in Usain Bolt's era, there were people running speeds that were good enough to have won multiple Olympics and break world records, but they were just not as fast as him. That didn't make them bad runners. It didn't, I don't know, did that make them a failure? Because they're going up, and I'm using Usain Bolt as an example because City are in that category. They're a team that's breaking records and doing things that's never been done before in English football. I think sometimes to be angry at your team not being able to beat them, I just think it's not realistic, potentially. I don't know. I don't know how you all see it.
Depends, though, Tel. It depends what it comes down to, really, doesn't it? If it comes down to goal difference, then maybe we will look at this Old Trafford game and go, oh, you know, maybe we could have done with a couple of goals. If it comes down to just, you know, City win their remaining 2 games, we win our last game of the season, then I think we'll all be looking at that Aston Villa game as well. Because the Aston Villa game, they were mistakes that were made by ourselves that cost us the game. Like that's,
I understand that, and I understand it, and maybe that's just where football has gone now, and this is why it's a conversation as opposed to a point, because what you're asking for is almost perfection, and that's almost impossible in sport. And the point is, if you're not going to be happy until you have perfection, you could be waiting a very long time. Because Pep Guardiola, no disrespect to Arsenal and Arteta, I don't think Arteta is ever going to be as good as Pep. So therefore, you may never get to City's levels on a consistent basis simply because of who they have as their manager. And maybe you're just, in terms of that pursuit of perfection, could you not just be pissing in the wind?
Maybe. But I think also, if you want to win the major honours in this country or in this league or even in Europe now, you have to pursue perfection, because Man City are built on pretty much perfection, and they win most trophies. You know, most of the Premier Leagues in recent times. Manchester City have won. They're winning all the trophy. You have to pursue perfection.
I get you. I get you have to pursue it.
No, I disagree with you, Terry, a little bit. I'm sorry. Sorry, Terry.
Go on.
Man City have not been perfect this season. Man City have not been perfect this season.
Yeah.
That's, I know you're that mentality, Terry. I get where you're coming from, but not this season. They haven't been perfect. They went to the Club World Cup and they should have come back with 8 points behind. But Arsenal dropped the ball and Liverpool dropped the ball here. It's not because Man City. If Man City win the league this season, it will not be because they are perfect. They are still one of the best teams, but it's not this season. This is not the season where Liverpool won 17, drew a game, and won 18 after and still lost the league. That's not the case here.
I mean, they are unbeaten. They are unbeaten in their last 32, 33 games, are they not?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just again. No one is. No one. By the way, let me finish my point. Mo. Let me redefine this so the argument is fair. Even City at their best are not perfect, so nobody is. But City has still got the best squad, the best facilities, the most amount of money, which is not a dig, it's the truth, and arguably the greatest manager of all time. I don't think you shouldn't demand perfection. I don't think you shouldn't want to win, but being angry that you're not. Being angry at your team for coming so close.
I'm sorry. Let me finish because I want to respond to Terry. Go ahead, Terry. You finish the point.
Finish, yeah.
I actually think what you're asking people here is be happy if you come second to this guy, Pep Guardiola.
No.
It's all right. It's okay. That's how I hear it.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this to Dennis, but I'll respond to that. That maybe that's how it comes across. So, and that's fair because perception is important. Hang on, bro. I'll come to you in a second. My reasoning is this. I saw Sir Alex win 13 league titles for my club, Manchester United. In between some of those seasons, other teams won them. I was disappointed because I wanted to win, but my reaction wasn't to throw baby out with the bathwater. This is what I'm talking about. So for me, I think if they come, I'm not saying be happy you're second. I'm saying be happy with how good your football team is. Be disappointed in not winning, but knowing that you're a really good team. And there is no way, in my opinion, right now, that it is conceivable that Arsenal will regress massively next year or something along those lines. So I'm just saying that I feel like in football now, it's either I'm going to be really happy and say nothing negative, or I'm just going to consistently be angry. And I just think there's a middle ground that makes more sense to me. That's all I'm saying.
Can I expand on what Mo's trying to say? Because when you look at the three, because Liverpool obviously were involved in the title race until recently, City have actually taken the least points off the top six this season out of all of us. Arsenal the most, yeah, because we beat Man United home and away. We beat City at home and we drew away. Beat Liverpool at home, drew away. Yeah, we're taking a lot of points off the top six this season. So we're, in terms of perfection, we're almost there, right? And it's still not been enough to win this league if Man City win their remaining 2 games. City have drew twice at Chelsea. Yeah, they drew twice at with Liverpool as well. They lost one to us and drew one. You know, and then the only traditional, let's say, top 6 side that they have beaten home and away is Manchester United. Right. So I look at this and I think, in terms of perfection, like Man City haven't been perfect by any means this season, especially against the big clubs. We almost have been, and it's still not been enough to win the league title. So I kind of look at it and think there's obviously been errors where Arsenal have dropped points against teams that they should be beating. So maybe rather than, we should be looking at ourselves. Does that make sense?
I understand. Again, there's nothing wrong in. Let me go to Dennis. There's nothing wrong in that, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be wanting your team to win. It's just the sort of stone faces, the lack of enjoyment, and the lack of, I want to win, but I'm so happy with how good my team is. That seems to be missing. And maybe it's because my team hasn't been in a title race for 10 years and the landscape has changed. Maybe it's because you haven't won one yet. Maybe if you win one and then the next year you won't be as disappointed. But there's something about, and when people say they're not that good, right? They're tracking towards 91 points, which is more than they won it with last year. I think it will be something like of all 7 titles, it's about their 4th from top in terms of most points at 91. It's phenomenal still. Dennis, over to you, mate.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, because if I'm interpreting what Terry is saying correctly,
I 100% agree. Like, there's nothing wrong with chasing perfection. I 100% agree that with everything in life, you should chase perfection. That doesn't mean you should be unhappy until you reach perfection. Like,
Yes.
I view football as I view life and I view business, every other aspect of my life. I judge the inputs, not the outputs. Like, you can only judge what you can control. For example, let's say Arsenal lose a title on 89 points, but Leicester won a title on what, like 81 points? Does that make the Leicester team better than Arsenal because they won the title and we didn't? Not necessarily. You can only judge on what you personally did. I thought what we put into this season, I know we dropped some bad points. We dropped both games to Aston Villa, dropped 5 points to Fulham, for example. Terrible results in that respect. But I think over what we put into this season performance-wise has been really good. And every season under Arteta, we've improved. Every single season, we've got better. Last season, we capitulated. This year, no matter what, 38th game of the season against Everton at the Emirates, we've got a chance of winning that title. That's improvement. That's getting closer and closer and closer. And no matter what, no Arsenal fan can tell me they've not enjoyed this season. Because if you only enjoy things by the result and the final game of the season and winning the title, then in my opinion, you're doomed to fail in that respect. Because then you're only marking success on one particular event at the end of the season, the final for a Champions League, a final for the FA Cup, or the 38th game of the season when you might potentially win it. For me, I look at this game by game. Am I seeing improvements, macros in terms of the season overall and actual each game? When we lost that game to Aston Villa, we could have easily capitulated. And last year, we probably would have. But this year, since the Aston Villa game, we've won every single game. Some tough games there, away at Tottenham, away at Old Trafford. We've gone and won these at these places where we don't normally win. So for me, I really like what the manager's done this season. It's ludicrous to say Arteta out even if we don't win the league this year because we're getting better. The problem is next season now. Because next season, how can you improve? You've gone now taking City to the final day. Can you improve next season and not win the title? I don't really think you can at that point. Unless you get 98 and City get 99 like Liverpool did. I don't think you can get a step further.
I don't think it's about improving marginally. Maybe you can. It's about you've just got to keep maintaining this and operating at this level.
I think we keep moving the goalpost as Arsenal fans. I think like at the end of the day, listen, we're all going to be disappointed if we don't win the league. None of us should be angry because everyone on this panel, near enough Arsenal fans, when we went through that period in December, people want to forget about it. We all wrote ourselves off. We all said, that's it now. Liverpool are going to run away. They're 5 points ahead. City are going. They're ahead. We're not going to do it. Then the next narrative, when we started actually putting performances in, was the narrative of if we don't sign a striker in January, that's it. We ain't winning the league. We ain't winning the league. We've brought it to the last game of the season. And now if we don't win the league, you can't be unhappy because you didn't even expect us to be there. So, of course, it's on us. We dropped points this season in bad games. It's something we'll learn from. But what Terry's saying is right by the perfection thing. Maybe not talking the whole season, but since January, yeah, we would have needed perfection to win this league if we don't win it. If we win the last game, we would have had to not lose a game from in 2024, which is not really feasible. Apart from now, Man City have made that feasible. Before Man City went on this tear, no one used to do that. Man City have now upped the levels.
It's just, when you say moving the goalpost, it's such an interesting point because the same people that I see that are angry are the same people that were angry when you were not getting into the Champions League, and it's like nothing's there. And the saying of throwing baby out with the bathwater, I went and Googled the origins of it, and I just love what this says. And this is how maybe I view things differently to others. It says, if you throw the baby out with the bathwater, you lose the good parts of something as well as the bad parts because you reject it as a whole instead of just removing what's bad. And I think for me, that's the element. I think you can say we need to be better in this. We need to improve this area of the team. But you can still be proud of the good parts of what you've achieved. It just feels like almost, and maybe it's an online thing, that people are a little bit, some people are too positive about everything and they won't let you say nothing that's constructive. I don't like that. And then there are others where if the whole thing isn't perfect, the whole thing isn't good, I'm just going to be frustrated. And it's interesting to hear your thoughts on that, guys.